If you want to tell the world that you've made it big in life, what you drive is a good way of doing that. And there are very few vehicles on this planet that can do that better than the Range Rover. And this is the all-new 5th generation Range Rover. Now, there's a lot of new stuff, new tech inside this car, and as you can see, it is big, massive and bold because it's a Range Rover. So what is this new model all about, and what can you expect from this? How is it to drive? How is it to be inside the car? And what are the new features in this? Well, let's find out over the next few minutes. Now coming to the design of the new Range Rover, well, it is unmistakably a Range Rover. It looks thoroughly British, and while some might complain it looks as if it has been carved out of a single block of material, it's got a very boxy design, but that doesn't matter because at the end of the day, it looks great. It's got a very clean and elegant design. It looks better than the earlier generation, and most importantly, it's got a phenomenal road presence. It's got a massive size, it's long, it's quite high, it's got these 22-inch wheels, and because of all of these things going together, the Range Rover just has a road presence that cannot be matched by any other SUV. It's that good. Now, while design is quite subjective and I won't get into the details of reading out a brochure to you, I will mention some of the key highlights. The LED headlamps, especially those DRL, the design, it looks very nice. Again, the 22-inch wheels look great. The overall design, massive and great. But what I really like is the back. At the rear, if you look at the rear, it would appear there are no tail lamps, and that's the party piece. The black parts that you see, well, it's got these hidden tail lamps, and only when the lamp operates you see it, well, glowing. Looks brilliant. Also, the other great thing about this design is, despite it being huge and boxy, it's got a coefficient of drag of just 0.30. There are sedans in this world which have a coefficient of drag of about 0.27, 0.28. 0.30 for a vehicle this big? That is some level of engineering. Now moving next, let's talk about the cabin of the Range Rover. Now again, just like the design, clean, elegant, the same treatment you get inside the cabin as well. No clutter, a very clean dashboard that you get. The color combination again just suits the overall positioning of the Range Rover to the T. It looks opulent, it looks premium, it looks luxurious, and that's exactly what you would want from a Range Rover cabin, and you get all of that. The material quality is top notch. The fitment quality again is great. You look at the leather, again, very impressive. The layout is very nice, and this screen, well, it is a very good looking unit. It stands out, and of course the touch response is good. It's easy to operate. Now that's one very good thing. Compared to the earlier Range Rover and Land Rover systems, this one is far more easier to use. Even the visibility under direct sunlight is good. Coming to the instrument cluster, well, it's a fully digital instrument cluster, and you can customize the information that you want to see on it, also the layout. So again, you can get a lot of information the way you want it. It gets a heads-up display, so that again helps you keep your focus on the road ahead. You do not have to move around or move your vision around for any kind of important information that you want from the vehicle. Beyond that, if you look at the feature list, well, it just goes on and on. You've got this massive panoramic sunroof which opens, by the way, and you've got the seats which are great, very comfortable, good cushioning. Even when you move to the rear, well, it's a very great story back in the rear also. The feature list just goes on. You've got ventilated seats at the back, and you've got this brilliant Meridian audio system. if you are an audiophile, trust me, this audio system is going to keep you very, very happy. And these are noise cancelling speakers, by the way. You also get headphones for both the rear seats if you want to immerse yourself into a very good audio experience. And this car also comes with something known as the boss seat, something that sedans are known to have but isn't very common for luxury SUVs, but this one has it. And I'll not just talk about it, let me show what it does. And all you need to do is just a click of a button and voila. Well, this is what business class comfort inside a car can be like. Doesn't get better than this if you want a comfortable SUV. Well, the Range Rover really takes things to a different level when it comes to the rear seat experience. And well, it's not just about space. The car is massive. It's got a very long wheelbase. So undoubtedly you get a lot of space inside. So of course I don't need to tell you that there is a lot of leg room, knee room and headroom. Well, there is all of that in abundance. But what matters is the comfort you get. Well, even the armrest, you don't have to pull it down, just click of a button. That's all you need. And there's this nice looking touch screen here which you can use to operate a lot of functions right from the rear seat. There are also these two screens here and you can access the kind of entertainment you want on these screens, also navigation and a lot more. So clearly the Range Rover has got a very well appointed cabin. The interior is very impressive. The space is great. The feature list is again very nice and extensive. And once you also look at the boot, well, the boot space is massive and it has a split tailgate design. So that again looks cool. It also has some functional benefits, so such as if you're camping or something, you can keep some stuff on it. So yes, overall, I think from a cabin perspective, from an occupant perspective, the new Range Rover thoroughly leaves us impressed. Well, just in case you do find the courage to leave the back seat and you want to drive the Range Rover, well, you'll not be disappointed. For a vehicle that weighs over 2.5 tons and is more than 5.2 meters in length, well, it is quite impressive how this giant dances around corners and the way it moves. Now keep in mind that the version that we are driving is the Range Rover long wheelbase Autobiography, and this one is the petrol version. So this is powered by a 3-liter Ingenium petrol engine. It develops 394 horsepower, so it is quite a lot to even move this heavy mass, and it does that in a pretty impressive manner. Right from the word go, well, it moves without any hesitation. There is just a little hint of lag in the beginning, but once you cross or probably reach closer to about 2000 RPM, that disappears. The automatic gearbox itself does a very good job, and it's been paired to the engine really well, so that masks a lot of that lag, and it works efficiently. It's not super quick, but it's not a slouch either. So it can operate at a fairly rapid pace when you want it to. Otherwise, it will just work at a relaxed pace, which goes very well with the positioning of this SUV. You also have these nice looking paddle shifters in case you want to take control of the gearbox, and it also comes with driving modes. You can switch between eco, comfort or dynamic. You also get off-road modes wherein you can switch between these modes depending on the conditions, whether you're driving on mud ruts, sand, or whether you're going to wade through water. Talking about off-road, well, it's a Range Rover, so it definitely is more than capable of going off-road, and this one too will very happily go off-road in case you ever wanted to. And it also comes with this air suspension, and you can raise the height of this vehicle to a very, very high point. Well, to the point that entering or exiting this vehicle becomes quite a physical task. But the benefits of that are to be reaped when you are on bad terrain. Well, that is when that additional height comes into play. Otherwise, you can just lower it down. You can bring it quite low as well. You can bring it to something Range Rover calls access height, and then entering and exiting the vehicle is relatively easy, but still it isn't a breeze. Now, one neat trick the new Range Rover employs in order to go around corners in a much more agile manner is the rear steering. And because the rear wheels now move along with the steering input for the front, the Range Rover, despite its length and weight, is able to go through corners at a far quicker pace than its size would suggest. You can attack corners at a fairly rapid pace, but yes, the weight will show at some point when you push it a little too hard. And beyond that, if I talk about the ride quality, well, that is a surprisingly one area which I felt could have been better. Despite the air suspension that the new Range Rover gets, it still leaves me wanting for some more comfort. It's slightly still on the firmer side. It's a bit stiffer for my liking, and well, yes, even you can argue it's an SUV and probably it wouldn't be as comfortable as a sedan, but still it's a Range Rover, and maybe 10 or 15% more or probably softer. I think that would have just made the ride quality spot on. But still, it's not uncomfortable. It is very comfortable, and like I said, with the Boss seat, it does offer a brilliant and a very comfortable experience. So the Range Rover definitely is a big improvement over its predecessor, and it has improved in every department. Yes, probably ride quality is that one area where I thought there is still some scope for improvement, but beyond that, it is a stunning vehicle. It is definitely a vehicle that you will be impressed with in terms of engineering. It's not just the experience, it is a vehicle which will make you think the kind of engineering that has gone behind it and to develop it. So clearly it's a very impressive vehicle. Now coming to the price, well, this particular version that we are driving is priced at a little over 3.1 crore ex-showroom. So that is quite a lot of money. So yes, if you are a Bollywood celebrity, an industrialist, or you just have that kind of cash lying around, there is no point in answering the question whether it is value for money or not, because that just doesn't apply to this vehicle. There is nothing else that you can buy instead of a Range Rover. If you want something like this, you can only buy a Range Rover, and this one's better than its previous generation in every possible way. So if you do have more than 3 crore lying around and you want a vehicle that offers an experience like no other vehicle and unmatched luxury and road presence, just go ahead and buy the new Range Rover.